Hello, welcome to Module 6. Moving right along here. I'm going to cover ladders, walking, working surfaces, stairways, that type of thing. And why? Because they're everywhere. Stand up, you're on one. Walking, working surface. So there's like 5 of these video PowerPoint presentations we're going to do, and but they're all pretty short. So just go ahead and go through them, read the stuff too, because that's the whole idea. You read it, you look at this, maybe you'll learn something. Wouldn't that be nice? This will, you will have to come, you will address some of these issues in your career, guarantee it. In the safety field, there's never a dull moment. You got to learn a lot because there's a lot of stuff to learn and a lot of stuff going on. So let's get going, and we're going to start with ladder safety as opposed to former safety. Poor joke. Okay. This is going to cover step ladders, portable ladders or extension ladders. And this is 1910.23, which is just called ladders. So the application covers all ladders except when the ladder is, there's always exceptions, used in emergency operations such as firefighting, rescue, and tactical law enforcement operations, or training for these operations, or designed into or is an integral part of machines or equipment. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, you really expect the firemen to get out the OSHA book and check and make sure this ladder is being done properly. They're trained, believe me, they are trained more than probably any other occupation, and then an integral part of machines. So there are some machinery or equipment that has ladders, fixed ladders built into it. So that'll be covered, but not in this particular standard. 1923 B1, ladder rungs, steps, and cleats are parallel, level, and uniformly spaced when the ladder is positioned to use. Now, this sounds like common sense, and really it is, but if they didn't have it in here, guess what? They'll be all over the place. I guarantee it. B2, 3, 4 concerns spacing of rung, steps, and cleats, and that goes in a lot of details and figures. So we're not going to get into that. You're probably never going to have to use that. You buy your ladders from a reputable company that makes ladders, they're going to know all this stuff anyhow. And if you get one that's out of spec, you're probably going to notice it pretty quickly too. So B5, wooden ladders are not coated with any material that may obscure structural defects. Wood has a tendency to crack. And so you can't paint over the cracks or any other defects in the wood. No. Metal ladders are made with corrosion-resistant material or protected against corrosion. So you don't want your metal ladders to rust. They have to be made with corrosion-resistant material or protected against it. Ladder surfaces are free of puncture and laceration hazards. Again, most regulations concerning things like guards always have something in there that thing itself can't be a hazard. So the ladder itself can't give you a hazard as far as other than falling off it, of course, but that's inherent. But I mean, puncture and laceration hazards. So ladders are used only for the purposes for which they were designed. Big one there, big one. Ladders are used only for the purposes for which they were designed. That means that a step ladder is used one way and a straight ladder is used another way. That's pretty simple, but that's one of the most disregarded items in here in this standard. Ladders are inspected before initial use in each work shift and more frequently as necessary to identify any visible defects that could cause employee injury. Again, that makes a little sense. Each work shift is fine most of the time, but depending on the use, sometimes they're used and banged up a bit. Maybe I don't know. Maybe construction might be worse, but it could be. They could get beat up in one shift to the other. So as necessary, as more frequently as necessary. Any ladder with structural or other defects is immediately tagged dangerous, do not use, or with similar language in accordance with 1910.145. and removed from service until repaired in accordance with 1910.22D or replaced. Most ladders, if you're going to have them repaired, they have to be repaired by somebody who's qualified to do so. And off the top of my head, I could never think of anybody who is. If you repair them yourself, you're asking for trouble. I can't tell you how many ladders I have had destroyed in my career. If I see a ladder that's has something wrong with it, some structural thing, and it goes. I don't even let them throw it in the trash, because they throw it in the trash, somebody will pick it out and take it home and use it and maybe get hurt on it there. So no, you cut it up so it can't be used. You just destroy it, because you can't really. I mean, I don't think you can fix it most of the time. Maybe there's sometimes you can, but remember, it has to be fixed by somebody that knows what they're doing too. Unless you're in a ladder repair business, you're probably not going to be able to fix it. So you want to make sure that it doesn't get used by anybody else. If something wrong with it, even the home. And 145 is specification for accident prevention signs and tags. And 1910.22D says that working surfaces must be inspected and maintained in a safe condition, repaired before use or guarded, and repairs made by qualified persons. So there you go, made by a qualified person. So unless you have somebody on your employer that's a qualified person, and again, that's what qualified. Remember, I talked about this in lockout, where qualified, it means a specific thing. In lockout, it means a person who's able to lock it out and do the work. But qualified is a general term in most of OSHA, and that's not a term that they define. They let you define it. So if your company wants to say, yeah, you're qualified to repair a ladder, they better back it up. If something happens and there's an accident with that ladder, they find out they just said you're qualified, you haven't had any training or no experience like that. So that's one of those things. They're going to let you get some leeway in there. Boy, if it comes apart, you better be prepared. There you go. That's a ladder repair there. Take a piece of wood and put it in there and tape it around it. That's the outside and inside picture of the same ladder. They took a piece of wood inside that channel there on that ladder. Looks like a synthetic ladder. I can't tell what it is. Maybe it's metal. I don't know. Can't do that. Each employee faces the ladder when climbing up or down it. Pretty simple, right? Walk down backwards. It's not steps. You face it when you go up, and you face it when you come down. Each employee uses at least one hand to grasp the ladder when climbing up and down it. Now, they understand you might have something in your hand, so you have at least one hand to grasp the ladder when climbing up and down it. And no employee carries any object or load that could cause the employee to lose balance and fall while climbing up or down the ladder. So you might be able to carry a small toolbox. If you're carrying something like a 50, 60 pounds, that's not good, because that could cause you to lose balance. So they leave that kind of open there. They don't put a weight limit on it, because let's face it, a 120-pound person or 240-pound person is a lot different what they could carry. So you can't carry a load that could cause you to lose balance. Portable ladders, rungs and steps of portable metal ladders are corrugated, knurled, dimpled, coated with skid-resistant material, or otherwise treated to minimize the possibility of slipping, because metal is inherently is generally slippery unless it is treated or fixed somehow. Each step ladder or combination ladder used in a step ladder mode is equipped with a metal spreader bar or locking device that securely holds the front and back sections in an open position while the ladder is in use. Now, most of your typical step ladder, when it opens up, it has that spreader bar in the middle. Let's see if they have any pictures of this. No, that's something different. Okay. And you push it down, and you make sure that locks to hold them in place. The combination ladder, and I have one of those at home. It's pretty slick. I can open it up all the way straight to be a straight ladder. I can fold it like this to be a step ladder, but it doesn't have a spreader bar, but it has a locking device at the crown of it, at the top of it, and it locks it. Yeah, when it locks it, you have to really push on both sides to unlock it. It's not easy to do. So that's what they're talking about there. When it's locked up, when the step ladder is open like this, it's got to be locked in place. And there's a good use of ladder. There's a couple things wrong with that. Number one, that is a step ladder, and he's using it as a straight ladder. And I don't know what the heck that left thing looks like, a range hood or something. I don't know what that is on the left-hand side he's standing on, but that is not very safe. Now, sometimes places like that are hard to get into, and but I think a straight ladder down in that corner there would probably be better than what he's doing there. Ladders are not loaded beyond the maximum intended load. Note this paragraph. The maximum intended load, as defined in 1921B, includes the total load, weight, and force of the employee and all tools, equipment, and materials being carried. So not just the weight of the person, but everything that person is carrying too. And this is 1910.21b. Maximum intended load means the total load, weight, and force of all employees, equipment, vehicles, tools, materials, and other loads the employer reasonably anticipates to be applied to a working surface at any one time. So just showing what that 1910.21b that they refer to means. Now this is the ratings type of ladder. You get a type, like 2 ladder, light duty, household below 200 pounds. Okay, around your house, it might be okay, depending if on your side. For me, that would probably be okay. Medium duty, 225, heavy duty, 250. And then as I'm guessing as the population got heavier, extra heavy duty, 300. And now they need special duty, rugged use, 1A, 375 pounds. And again, load must include the weight of all tools, materials, and equipment, not just the person. Ladders are used only on stable and level surfaces unless they are secured or stabilized to prevent accidental displacement. No portable single rail ladders are used. A single rail ladder is I think see this mostly on construction sites. They take a 2x4 or something like that, or maybe in 2x8, and they cut up like 2 foot 1x4s, and they nail them onto that. So you have a ladder with a single upright and then cross members like this. They are not allowed anywhere. No portable single rail ladders are used. No ladder is moved, shifted, or extended while an employee is on it. So if you're somebody standing on a ladder and they're going to mean to move a little bit, you come down, you move the ladder, you get back up again. You don't kind of shift the ladder. Ladders placed in locations such as passageways, doorways, or driveways where they can be displaced by other activities or traffic are secured to prevent accidental displacement or are guarded by a temporary barricade, such as a row of traffic cones or caution tape, to keep the activities or traffic away from the ladder. In most other plants at OK Foods, your storage, where your ladder storage was, you had some cones there too. So if they had to grab a ladder, there were cones there they could put up around it to keep them, because a lot of places they're in owls or something like that. And we had a case in Hebron one time where a power jack hit a ladder, knock somebody off of it. The cap, if equipped, and top step of a step ladder are not used as steps. That is probably the most common thing you're going to see. I used to, when I was in Southern California, I traveled a lot, once a month at least, and I flew out of LAX, and it wasn't all that bad. I didn't mind it. But I was down in there one time. LAX is a big crowded airport. I'm waiting for my plane. And the ceilings are pretty high. They're in a terminal in the airport. And there's these guys coming down with this ladder. It had to be at least a 20-foot high step ladder. And I saw what they were doing prior when they approached us. And this guy got up on the very top step and he was looking up in the suspended ceiling for something. I don't know what they were doing. So they come up close to us, and I thought, man, and now where there wasn't too many people around, but now they're right near where all the people are waiting for the plane. So there's people around, and there's just civilians, passengers, and so they get up there, and there's him, the guy up on the ladder, and the guy with the clipboard. So I walked up to the guy with the clipboard, because I kind of thought he was the boss. And I said, pardon me, sir, but maybe this is none of my business, but it's obvious to me that this gentleman here has not been trained in the proper use of a stepladder. And he looked at me and he said, oh, are you with OSHA? And I had an OSHA card in my pocket. Well, the OSHA card that said the training card, I think they call it. And I could have whipped that out and probably got his attention. But I said, no, sir, I'm not, but I have been trained in it. And he shouldn't be standing on the top 2 steps of that step ladder. It's very dangerous. So I really didn't have any authority there. So I went and got a cup of coffee. But when I came back, they were gone, and that ladder was up against the wall, not being used. So I don't know what they did, but they didn't fall off that ladder onto somebody that day anyhow. So portable ladders used on slippery surfaces are secured and stabilized. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? There you go. That's the kind of ladder that I have at home. That's not exactly like that, but there you can't stand on the top 2 steps of that. There's no top cap on that, but that's in effect what he's standing on. And that's a little ridiculous. There you go. Can you put a 5-gallon can? It's not, but they say put a rug down on it for some reason. I don't know why. Ridiculous. This looks like it's a hotel or something like that. And from what hotel rates I've stayed in, boy, they got the money. So, and they're usually more professional than that. It's supposed to be a contractor. Top step of a non-self-supporting ladder is placed so that both side rails are supported unless the ladder is equipped with a single support attachment. So that means that the ladder, both rails have to be up against something. Portable ladders used to gain access to an upper landing surface have side rails that extend at least 3 feet above the upper landing surface. This is important too. This is a problem sometimes you'll see too. And here's a couple of pictures of it. There's 2 different things being shown here. The left one, that one says the 3 feet above the top surface of the distance, the top support, and then the distance that the base of the ladder must be away from that the upright is 1/4 of the distance, the vertical distance. So in the right hand side picture, the one in color shows that the 16-foot high wall there, that ladder base has to be 1/4 of 16, which is 4 feet away from the base of the wall. And that's a 20-foot ladder, but the ladder itself isn't the issue. It's the base being 4 foot away. The 20-foot it will have to be at least 20-foot ladder there because it's got to extend 3 feet above that 16-foot wall. So that's an important number too. Ladders and ladder sections are not tied or fastened together to provide added length unless they are specifically designed for such use. So you can't just tie 2 ladders together. Ladders are not placed on boxes, barrels, or other unstable bases to obtain additional height, like that, or that, or that. The rest of 1910-23 concerns fixed ladders, okay? The first part was portable ladders. Now we're talking about fixed ladders. Fixed ladders are ones that are, like I said, built into something or onto something. And there's a 30-inch clearance from obstructions there. You can see on the left-hand side. And the only one that I've seen, the only infraction I have seen was on the left bottom there, where it says 7 feet from back wall to center line of rungs. I've seen some ladders that are made that don't have, 7 inches from back wall to center line of rungs. You can see right here, it says it too, for clearance, because if you don't have that, then your feet here aren't going to go through all the way. Right, like your feet here aren't going to fit properly because you're not going to have enough clearance to get your arch there on that rung. So that's the only thing I have ever seen in practice that's an infraction of this regulation. And you can see here, there's a head hazards here, and they put in this deflector plate. So if you're walking up this ladder, instead of bumping your head on this, you'll hit this deflector plate, which will help because it won't be a sharp object. It'll be blunt at an angle. So that's the one you want to look at, where that 7-inch clearance from the back wall to the center line of the rungs. There's a ladder. Did another good ladder use. They see it on the railing that's horizontal. I wouldn't want to get on that ladder. Now that ladder has a thing on the bottom that extends it, but that's not, again, that's a step ladder. That's not they're using it as a straight ladder. Well, you got to admit, at least the feet here, that's probably not an infraction. The feet are on steady surface. It doesn't say anything about how the distance below it, except it looks like he's going to get up on the next to the top one. So, and if he does fall off, it's going to be much more serious. But oh, there's a great one. The step ladder is being used, not even being used as a ladder. And the other ladder, now you think this dude's going to fall? Those dudes are going to stop him. If that ladder goes to the side, he just shift his weight to the side, and it doesn't take much at that distance. That's pretty high. It doesn't take much, and they're going to hold him? No way. He's going down. And there you go. That shows the proper way to transport ladders if you pick up trucks in a shop. Just stick it in the back doors like that and drive down the highway. And if you want to tie them together, there you go. That's how you do that. I hope that's an ambulance down there because that's what he's going to be needing, or a hearse. So common ladder issues you'll find are not storing ladders so they won't get damaged. In other words, they just throw them in a corner somewhere. No, have a place to put them. They can be hung up. They stood up. They could be, most of the time you just stand them up. Using a damaged ladder, don't want to do that. Grease and or oil on the treads, get them clean. Using a metal ladder when working around electricity. When I first got to OK Foods, the maintenance department had a lot of metal ladders. When I left, they didn't have any. So, not using cones or other means to keep forklifts, etc., away from the base. That's important. Standing on the top cap and or top step. Saw that a lot. Propping it up against the wall to use it as a straight ladder. See that a lot. Not opening up all the way and locking the spreader bar. That's usually just somebody doesn't know what they're doing. Standing on the wrong side of the ladder. I have seen that. Some ladders have cross members on the opposite side that kind of look like rungs, and instead of making maybe an X or something like that. And I've seen people stand on the wrong side of it, and they frequently bend them. And once they're bent, that ladder's useless. Moving or walking the ladder while on it. And that's got some straps there against that railing holding that. Wonder what kind of hump force on the top of that railing that 220-pound guy's gonna do on that. And I was in California, our Mason Lodge had a very high ceiling, and they had a huge ladder. I think I guess maybe it was 20 feet, 24 feet, I don't know. And it just didn't look real sturdy. And they were, generally speaking, guys my age and doing this stuff. And they were going to get up there, and one guy was going to stay ladder, one guy was going to climb up the top, change the light bulb. And I said, no, you're not. You fall off of that ladder, you've had it. Whether you die or not, you're never going to be the same. You're not going up there. So we rented a small scissor lift. And we had a elevator. It was a small, so we got a small one, got in our elevator, and had outriggers on it. And they got up there on a lift and did it. I wouldn't let my friends get on a ladder like that. Common straight ladder issues: not extending at least 3 feet above the upper landing surface, not placing the base 1/4 the distance to the upper landing. Example, a 20-foot wall, the base should be 5 feet from the vertical surface. So getting too close to or hitting overhead power lines. As a general rule, you want to stay 10 feet away from overhead power lines. 10 feet is a general number. Why? Because it's a pretty big distance, and it's a distance far enough that you're not going to hit it with a tool or you can't reach it. Because if you won't hit an overhead power line twice, more likely. You know, once, that'll be it. Not allowing 7 inches from the back wall to the center line of rungs. I've seen that a couple of times. Not allowing 30-inch clearance from obstructions. And this is my ladder safety training here. Pay attention to this. This is important. I love the expression on her face at the end of that video. That's a good way to close this off. So ladders are everywhere. They're being used. You're going to see them. You're going to see people doing stupid things with them, and don't let them do it. Believe me. When we were at the relaying, the safety committee was actually doing a walk through the plant, and I saw a guy on a ladder getting up on the top step. And before I could get to him, somebody ran over to him and got him off of it. And I went up to that guy and I said, well, thank you. I'm glad you did that for your coworker here. Got him off that ladder. And he says, yeah, you caught me doing that last month. I said, okay, good. Well, good. So at least I caught him doing it, and he made sure the other guy didn't do it. So that's good to see. So watch those ladders. They're dangerous. The ladder itself isn't dangerous, but falling off them can be. Be safe.